Merit, Bill Melandra. So we have present here Bill Melandra, uh, Michael Weiss, and Andrew Merritt, joined by Olga Louchakova-Schwartz. And we'll begin with a review, quick review of Yasna 32.1, and what I see as the difficult points are the syntax of the whole thing, especially where the word daiwa belongs morphologically. Is it a vocative plural, as we see it in the third stanza, or is it a nominative plural? And I take it as the latter, so that you have a structure ahya plus noun, ahya plus noun, ahya plus noun, the third noun being daiwa, and the stemyasa being repeated with each subject. And the second crux is mahmi manoi, and that concatenates with, is it in stanza 9, with, yes, Manyeush Mahya, from the utterance of my manu, my mental force. If you wish to say spirit, you may, but the
Martin, before
first,
you go any,
yeah, sure, sure,
any further,
yeah,
I have a metrical problem
yes,
with the second line.
yes.
Both parts are hypermetrical. They scan 8 and 9.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going on here?
So, the B line, huh?
Yeah,
31B.
B.
Well, let's see how that works. Uh, ah, I think it should be ah, ya, dai, wa, ma, mi, manoi, which gives us a 7. And after the caesura, ahuraya. Now we must reconstruct the next word as per Bacchus, and many factors that mean it's razma. So what is written as urwazima
Mm-hmm.
um, is the um, victim of a Younger Western metathesis of r. I would write that in English as WR,
Sure.
to urwa. And there are other examples of that in our text, like urwadia, and this word actually occurs in a number of, well, the root urwaz from uraz occurs a number of times in our text. And
Sure.
in each instance, we get the right scansion if we assume r. Moreover,
That's right. That's right. But
yes,
Masdal genitive may be
I'm
disyllabic.
I'm sorry,
It may be disyllabic. Masda'a.
Mazda. It is.
Yeah.
So then
Because it's a
but
genitive.
then we have too many syllables.
Okay, so let's count. Ahuraya for Razma. Uh, that's 6.
Six.
Mazda. Oh,
And that's
7, 8, 9.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
9. So
so
that
that's
comes
good.
out okay.
That's good. Yeah, that works.
And then, so I'm still a little bit stuck on the before the caesura. We've got one extra syllable there, I think.
The A of
Um,
Hanoi is epenthetic, so you don't scan
yeah,
that.
so it's correct. So it's Mahmi Manai for original Manai, like
Okay, so
poi for original
that's
pie.
so that's 4 syllables. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Let's see. Ah, ya, dai, wa. Ah, ya, dai, wa. Ma, me. Ah, um, ah, ya, dai, wa. Ma, me. Manai. 7. Manai. See, it's the as Michael says, is epenthetic. So don't read Manoi, read Noi.
Okay, well, anyway, that's something I needed cleared up.
Yeah, it does scan. If you read Manoi, uh, if you take the as epenthetic. Beyond that, uh, I see it as locative of a root stem, mna. I mean, etymologically locative of a root stem of mna, if you will, mn, a second laryngeal in theory, just as you have the word poi in protection uh, from pahi, so to
Hmm.
speak. Um, so that, for me, has to do with bringing to mind, reminding people, prompting people to think of something. So I think the phrase means at my prompting or at my reminding, at my urging, something
Hmm.
of the sort.
Okay.
So cognate with Greek naomai and mnesko and so forth. Uh, okay, and why at his urging? Um, because I think he has, by this time, won sufficient uh, notice and a sufficient following uh, as to as to the patronage situation, and um, that contrasts with the earlier poem 46, Yasna 46, in which, in effect, uh, he is rejected by family, community, and whatever you want to make of Aryaman. You have any thoughts on Aryaman yourself, Bill?
Uh, well, it's a curious word.
Yeah, I
What
mean,
is what is it? What is the suffix?
yes. Well, uh, I, I, uh, I don't think. Well, I mean, I don't think the man part is a suffix. I don't think there's either man or an. Uh, I think it is uh, a compound second member root stem man to keep in mind, uh,
Hmm.
etc. To care for, keep in mind, think of. So that which uh, keeps the area, the group,
Hmm.
the larger group, in mind. So that's what I think it is etymologically.
Does it
Michael,
basically mean like Civitas Ariana, if you
yeah,
will, like the
yes,
the belonging of audio. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you could put it that way. But my point is that the man is a root stem uh, of the verb and not a suffix
Mm.
because aria is already a formed noun, and you shouldn't have a man suffix with that in Indo-Iranian. I mean, there may be some formations in Greek, but not in Indo-Iranian. So,
Well, I haven't thought about this for a while because I've been doing other stuff. But
such as Ari.
do we have cases where mun is used in a compound?
Um,
I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
you mean man is a root stem following a noun?
So Arya and then
Do we
root
have
noun.
parallels with that? Um, no, not that I know. Uh, no, I don't know any parallels. I don't know if one needs a parallel. It's nice to have a parallel. We'll come to the problem of the word choremno,
Mhm.
choremno in verse 8, uh, for which Humbach, uh, what did Humbach do? He wanted a secondary suffix, man, not a root stem. But I just think that that's a middle voice participle. I don't see it as a chwareman or anything like that.
I remember years ago at some AOS meeting getting into a discussion with Cardona about Arya-1. And he wanted to make it a primary suffix, a curt suffix, uh, man, meaning possessing something. But man never behaves that way.
Mhm.
It's a primary. He was making it into a tadita suffix, and it won't work that way either. So um, the older way of looking at Aryaman as somehow being either a primary or secondary suffix doesn't work. If we can find other ones with man as a root noun, that would be much neater, I think. And if you can show that by your comparisons, that would I think work out quite well.
Well, I mean, I don't know I mean, I can't prove it from any, textual structure.
Mm.
Uh, there is the divinity Aryaman, uh, and I think Aryaman in general in Vedic has the stress on the man, which helps my position. Do you have any idea about that, Michael?
Well, I think if I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we have evidence for a neuter Aryaman in
Uh-huh.
Iranian, and in Vedic we have an amphikinetic looking Aryaman, which
Yeah.
is the god, right?
But
So
isn't it hysterokinetic because it's a short
yeah, it's Aryamanum. You're right. It's hysterokinetic, but it's acute accented, right? And that does look like it's a internal derivative of the, typical Brahman type.
Hmm.
So that suggests to me that they interpreted it, whatever its origin is, as suggests that the neuter is original, the animate is a internal derivative of the neuter, suggesting it's the one who represents the Aryaman. So whatever the etymology is, that's how I would interpret that
Okay.
relationship.
So could I ask Michael briefly on that? So what would you envision basically there was a thematic adjective, Arya, right? And or
Yeah. Arya.
Arya, and then
Yeah.
from that they formed a proto-kinetic men stem, which basically had a sort of abstract sense.
That's
Okay. which was
Yeah.
basically the status of being Arya.
Right.
And then the internal derivative would be used to refer to
To the
what?
God.
Like a spiritual being that presides over that status.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Right.
I'd like parallels to
Well,
that
yeah.
suffix to a noun. I mean, man is a suffix, so then it's a secondary derivative. I don't know that there are good secondary derivatives of man.
There
That's
aren't. I'm pretty sure of that.
yeah.
There
So
definitely
so
are other
that's
languages for
why I
sure.
like it as a
And
Yeah.
root stem. By way of very quick digression, uh, I was going to mention before that uh, Bill has been working on the meaning of the word Ari, uh, which is a problem. What Ari is, and it's it's not as I don't think it's especially relevant to this question of Aryaman, unless one follows what Michael tells me is uh, Georges Pinot's suggestion that it be Ari plus, I don't know, I forget how that goes, but
Mm.
Aman, home. I think he wants
Aman.
it to be
Yeah,
Aman. Yeah.
I don't know about that. But the practical question is, does Aryaman, how do you translate it? Does it mean clan, a tribe? I don't know.
I've always taken it in some sense. I'm not sure. I'm not an anthropologist. What's the difference between a tribe and a clan? But um,
Yeah.
somewhere, some group of people.
Yeah.
I mean, does in Vedic, doesn't Ari, isn't that like basically an adjoined or allied person or a relative of some sort? Isn't that what an Ari is?
I think it's said to mean a person of the Aryan community who is not a member of your immediate social group. That's what Brereton says.
So it's
Mm.
like a
Yeah,
frenemy.
exactly. That's exactly right.
Okay.
Sorry, it's like a what?
It's like a frenemy. So it's basically somebody who follows your
Uh,
traditions as part of the overall community, but isn't part of your social group.
uh,
So,
But Ari in effect, I mean, and its preform would be the base of Arya.
right. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
suppose
Okay.
so.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that would be like some sort of genitival derivative of Ari.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
according to Tima's old,
Thematic, you mean? A
Yeah, a
thematic,
thematic genitival
thematic.
derivative.
Yeah.
mm,
Uh, Bill, you have something to say about that?
I was just going to say that according to Tima's old book on Fremdling,
Yeah.
he takes it as much in the way positive way, friend, somebody that's you can identify as part of your community.
Mhm.
And so the vocative array means, hey, friend. And
Mhm.
then in later Sanskrit, it undergoes a semantic change to enemy. And as I recall, Tima's thought was that it may come out of uh, this vocative, um, no longer meaning "hey friend," but "hey you."
Hey, bud. Hey, buddy.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm not your buddy,
I
pal.
don't know whether that's true or not, but anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're both correct that don't seem to be any secondary uses of man other than Aryaman, but in Indo-Iranian, but in other Indo-European languages, for sure,
Mm.
secondary mans.
Anyway, shall we get back to considering um, the first stanza? So I would like this to mean that um, the family uh, asks for, hmm, beseeched, where's that besought? No, beseeched, entreated for, Yasat, his, namely, Ahura's.
Through 445, so you 415.
Oh, what? Were there numbers that came in from somewhere?
Oh, that was just my
Was
wife.
that horse race stock market? Sorry, what?
That was just my wife
Oh,
saying
oh.
that we have to leave at 4:15
What
our
time is
time.
it now in your world?
I got plenty of time.
Uh, what's your wife's name?
Jerry, Geri.
Hi, Terry. Okay. Uh, so the Huaytush entreated for uh, his, namely Ahura's, and that takes us to the end of the B, line, namely Ahura's, Ahura Mazda's Urwazma. So his Urwazma, for his Urwazma did family entreat, for his Urwazma did community in parentheses entreat, is to say community with clan, with tribe, let's call it, for his the Daiwas, for his bliss, the Daiwas did entreat at my prompting, meaning I stirred up a situation where now people want to get in on this bliss of Ahura Mazda, however they do it. This is, you know, by contrast with the lack of interest in Zarathustra's enterprise, as witnessed by the beginning of Yasna 46, the two texts as to their lexical skeletons aligning, as I reviewed again in that article that I wrote for the latest Kellans volume. So even the Daiwas, the demonic ones, be they demons or followers of demons, I think it also refers to followers of demons, entreated for Ahura Mazda's Razma, and then we have to understand a quotation. Let us be thy dutas, holding, taking this darayo as a, I think we decided it works best as a plural of an I stem, dari, with a participial meaning, those who hold, the ones who are inimical to you all. Let us be thy dutas, to hold those who are inimical to you. I really,
Why not take it as a injunctive, second singular?
um, um, you can. You mean the Daria?
No, the Dorayo.
Yeah, Daria.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I would take it.
translate
I've
it
always
then.
taken it
Translate it then.
as a second
Yeah.
singular.
Humbach likes it that way.
Yeah.
Translate the line then. What do you get? If you take that as what, thou holdest?
So hold them. In other words, keep them in check. Those people who are hostile.
Yeah, that's what Humbach thought.
Yeah.
Um, well, I thou keep them thou in check. Yeah, that's grammatically a possibility. Uh, I must confess I'm married not only to Olga, but to the idea that you have um, two word plays going on. I mean, if you have either an infinitive dario, which is contested, or nominative plural of an I stem,
Mhm.
uh, as in chachrayo, chachri, chachrayo, uh, in both Vedic and Old Western, then you have the same phrase having two different meanings depending on who is uttering the phrase. Namely, we will be obscurations, smokes from duta, smoke uh, for thee, uh, as we uh, either uphold or hold back those who are your enemies.
Mhm.
And I think that's really the the key to the idea, and that there are two such groups. There would be two groups of a good family community and tribe and a bad family community and tribe, the latter being demonic, the Daiwa adherents. I think Yasna 33, 3 and 4, in which you have the three social units in each stanza, but in one stanza in a good context and in the second stanza in a bad context. And since it can be shown that Yasna 33 derives from Yasna 32, uh, that that doubling a family community clan uh, dualistically uh, bears out the intention here. I also uh, point to the fact that in the immediately preceding poem, Yasna 46, in my opinion, uh, in stanzas 3, 5, and 7, the root dar keeps on shifting its meaning. Uh, so it can mean uphold, it can mean hold on to, uh, hold for injury. Uh, I don't think that that's an accident. I think that that is, as it were, uh, that multiplicity of meaning of dar leads to the duality of dar in this passage. That's what I think.
Okay.
As for Ong Hama, Michael wondered if that could be a perfect. And I didn't think it made sense as a perfect, like we would have been or something like that. And I looked up that Ong Hama with the Ångström, which I used to call Swedish meatball when I was teaching, as opposed to the nasal Polish sausage under the A. The Ångström, Ånghama, according to Devan, is due to the Dutongho, and in Yasna 49:7, again you have Freistongho. So the Ong there,
Mhm.
in Dutongho, Freistongho, perseverated as Devan has it. So there's a trace of the on, and it is manifested in a wrong on instead of on in the word for may we be from the root ah.
Mhm.
And I think that's a good explanation that Divan has. I just think it's contextually too hard to think that this is a on hum is a perfect.
I mean, if I may add on that point, I
Yes.
it's hard for us or for one to just kind of wrap one's mind around the fact that for century after century, these people were just reciting this stuff and they had very little understanding of what they were saying. I could imagine like various copyings like that happening over and over again. Anyway,
They do. I mean, in textual recitation, uh, I mean, if you sometimes accidentally, we notice that as we're speaking, or sometimes even as we're writing, one word influences another. Now you can imagine if after, centuries of recitation, when it becomes, when the Gathas really become just not something that is clear as to its meaning, but something that you have to recite, um, whatever it means, you know. And so you can get all kinds of uh, changes sneaking in. So, uh, with regard to errors in the text, first oral errors and then written errors, which is yet another story. But uh, we have to get our heads around the fact that people were reciting stuff without knowing what it was.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've seen this video that was produced by Almut Hinze. I think it's called the Multimedia Yasna.
Hmm.
But just witnessing the priests perform the rites and recite, right? It looks like it just sounds like they don't have, any understanding of it. It's just so mechanical, right? And I say this with all due respect. It sounds so, rote and reproduced. It doesn't sound like, a real spoken language in any way. Anyway, sorry. Just wanted to add that. I'm done now.
I yes, uh, yeah, I know Hinz's project. I've heard that. Uh, Look, at my bar mitzvah, uh, I led the congregation. Uh, Shochinat marom vekadosh emo, v'chasuv chananu tzadikim ladoshem laisharim nabasehila, b'fi yesharim, and so forth. Um, I can tell you now what it means, but at my bar mitzvah, I had no clue. Uh, and that is what one recites at the shachis, or if one wants to use modern Hebrew, shacharit, uh, the morning prayer. You begin with that. That's what you got to say. Uh, as for what it means, well, that's another story.
What
So, yes.
um, I was connected in India once with a very obscure sect which had the same manner of worship. I mean, you chant 3 times per day verses in I think it was in Malayam or in Maharashtra somewhere. I may be wrong. I don't remember the language. But when I asked the leader, like, why do we chant something that we don't understand? There is no translation for many of those verses, for the English speakers at least. And he says, God hears in any language. So there may be the same idea operating in this case, like whatever you chant, it's traditional and it goes to the source, which is which understands the meaning regardless of the language or regardless even if you understand it. It's just something that you do
Mhm.
with this assumption.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that's very valid.
Hmm.
Marty,
Okay.
can I ask about, before we go on to the next stanza, can I ask about
Yeah.
what you think about Ahya, which is repeated multiple times and is in hyperbaton from the noun that it's dependent on? It seems very emphatic. Anything, any reason
Well,
for that?
I think it's emphatic. You
Hmm.
said it.
Hmm.
So I think it emphasizes that it is of Ahura Mazda,
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, that they wish for the bliss. Uh, as for the function of the repetition and then the climax, well, I leave that sort of thing to you beyond the emphasis. Uh,
Okay.
okay.
Oh, so I do have a question. Why does cha occur in the very first word? Why not in the second
Uh,
time ahia cha?
yeah. Well, uh, we had a bit of a discussion of this, and um, I'll tell you what I think. And if Michael has a different view, fine, but he should articulate it. But um, I have in mind a kind of flow chart, poem by poem, of the unfolding of the corpus. And I think that people remembered from poem to poem, uh, so that uh, there would be the cha would indicate something previous, and one of the previous poems, together with the Yasna 46, I mean, I think you had 28 stanzas, 1 to 8, which forms a ring composition in itself, as a precedent for this poem. And there, uh, in stanza 8 of Yasna 28, you have the yasa phrase with, well, look at it. I think it refers back to that 28:8. Um, just a second.
Well, Martin, this is what I'm getting at, and I'm going on the analogy of Hebrew. Vaydaber Adonai, the va
Uh-huh,
presupposes that it's a continuous, it's taking up from the previous
uh-huh,
part. Otherwise, you wouldn't have and God said. You just have God said. So I think
uh,
you're right. I think this is it strikes me that that position of cha is presupposing a previous context, a
yeah,
former
and
context.
that the context is 28:8, fortified by the fact that 28:1 begins with Ahya Yasa, uh, that if you see that 28:8 is the verse that one remembers back to. The next poem after Yasna 32, and these align according to what I now call my scrim charting. Next poem after 32 is Yasna 49. And Yasna 49, 7 and 8 very closely echo the material that you have in 28.8 plus 32.1, so that, all the lexical content of 32.1 and 28.8 are recapitulated in Yasna 49, 7 and 8, and there's a few stanzas of a coda, of an add-on, as many of the poems above 11 stanzas have. So the end of that has a play on Wahishta, that recapitulates all the Wahishtas, several of the Wahishtas that you find in 28.8, where you have Wahishta as a vocative and Wahishta as an instrumental in the phrase Asha Wahishta, and Wahishtem as the accusative referring to Mazdahura. So that play on Wahishta is found with Yasa, Yasans in this instance, as the last line of Yasna 49. It's a little complicated, but it can be easily diagrammed to show that you have between Yasna 49.8 and Yasna 49.11 a concatenating add-on structure, such that when you get all of Yasna 49, the whole thing forms a nice ring composition, just as Yasna 49.1 to 49.8 forms its own nice ring composition. So the expansion of it also brings in elements of Yasna 28.8. And so that's why I think that Shah refers back to that line. Yeah, I didn't want to go through all that because it takes a while to explain. And I hope I've explained it, but it's a good question what the cha is. Michael, you thought the cha could be if. Do you still think so? Are we losing sound?
No, I was muted. Sorry. Yeah, well, I'm thinking in Vedic terms, right? That cha can mean if. So the first clause, if X and Y and Z seek your bliss or his bliss, and then understand, let them say, may we be your messengers. That's what I was thinking. But yeah, and of course, there's also a few cases in the Rig Veda, so-called cha inversum, where you get the cha at the first member instead of the second member. So maybe that's a possibility as well.
In those instances, one should see if within that series of Vedic hymns, whether there is actually a verse to which the cha could.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
And then if it is an if, well, that you have a double meaning of the C line. May we be smokes, obscurations to thee as we uphold your enemies. I don't know. I think that would vitiate the possibility of an if.
Yeah.
So, okay. So now let us move on to the next, whose translation is fairly easy. Hmm. Does anyone want to uh, translate this? Or
I can do the first one here.
go ahead.
So Aibyo Mazda Ahuro Sadum no Vohu Manangha. All right, so Ahura Mazda uh, joined with good mind for these ones, or to these ones rather. And then Kshatrat Hacha Paiti Mraut, uh, from his or with his rule, he replied to these ones, or he said to these ones.
Yeah. So the IBO goes with Patim route, which means
Oh,
answered. Yeah.
yeah,
As you said,
exactly.
replied. Yeah. So to those, and we don't know which the those is, but ostensibly, I mean, the good guys. Uh, so,
So,
yeah.
if I may, regarding the Sodom no, is this related to Greek keranomy or
Yes.
yeah? Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a little complicated semantically. You do have a root powerful K, Indo-European powerful K E R, I guess second laryngeal, uh, which means to mix, as in the Greek word you mentioned, crater and uh, all those words, and in Sanskrit you get
cheer, yeah.
it. You get to mix sometimes in reference to some sacred liquid. Um, in Iranian, I think uh, that same root um, means uh, to be joined with or united with. And so the image would be, let's see, my fingers are now being interspersed with one another. So, as it were, they get, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the way you have an alternation of parts of a mixture. Uh, so you get a kind of joining in a mixture. So what you get of the root sar uh, means to join, um,
Yeah, and so out of curiosity
or
about
or
the
to,
oh
to or
yeah.
to be united. So it's either connection or union. Go ahead. Yes, please.
Yeah, so I'm wondering about how do we parse this participle? Is it derived from a present stem or an aorist stem?
I'd say just uh, a middle voice present stem,
Okay.
Sara, Sara. So Saremna is united with
Okay, I see. And so what kind of present stem was it thematic or athematic? I'm assuming athematic here.
thematic.
It was thematic. Okay. Interesting. Why do we have a length and grade of the root?
I don't know. I answered that one easily, didn't I?
Hmm.
Could be
I
no
don't know.
grade.
It could be an O grade.
I mean, why not?
Well, all right. So I guess all right, so it is so there is a thematic verb from Sar, right? Um,
Mhm.
okay.
We have elsewhere Sarate. So we do have that middle stem, middle middle
Well, but
voice.
that's the thing, like, but if it's an O grade, right, then we wouldn't have a long because it's a sate root.
Good point.
Good question, and I don't know the answer to that. I mean, some analogical process, but I don't know. But
I don't know. We've got to nail this down, folks. I mean, I'm all for,
well,
like religious and cultural discussion.
between now and the next session,
Okay,
why don't you
sure.
get your hammer
Sure.
uh, and nail away?
Okay,
Uh,
great.
unless someone can nail it now.
So, yeah, there's a sarante. So,
But
yeah.
uh, it's interesting that the parallel passage in Yasna 49, uh, I think it's stanza 7, says, uh, refers to a sarem, accusative of the root stem sar. May there be a union, forge thou, it's didans, but I think it's dadans, bring about a sarem uh, for a sarem of asha, so a nexus with rightness uh, in thy good kingdom, uh, and also for me, for Frau Schaustra and for me, may you bring about a union of asha in thy good kingdom, that and thy good, dominion. I take, by the way, in our second stanza of Yasna 32, Kshatriya as dominion. Yes, it means power, like Sanskrit kshatriya, but in Iranian, you also get the idea of a kind of location, which is to say, dominion, like the dominion of, I don't know, whatever country you wish. Um,
Or like Virginia, Old Dominion.
yes,
Hey,
exactly so.
that's where I'm
Exactly
from.
so.
Yeah.
The Dominion of Virginia.
Yeah.
So you have the Persian Empire in Old Persian. It's called the Kshathra, for Kshathra, with a funny sibilant representing the older thra. Uh, this gives you the idea of empire and polity, and as units shrink in government in the history of Iran, you finally wind up with the Persian word shahr, shahr meaning city. So I think that Zarathustra has a dominion. Yes, it is his power, but it is also his specific area of rule. Uh, like, for thine is the kingdom. Uh,
Well, yeah, but in that phrase, right, it is like God's rule. I mean, Basileia there, and is
okay,
basically a kind of, I mean, it's
fine.
eventually conceptualized as a place, right? But
Yeah. Well, I think it is pretty much heaven here. Uh, because, well, if you look at Yasna, you have to look through at Yasna 49, where you see that um, there is an alternation of in thy house with in thy kshathra. So kshathra is a kind of area uh, of rule. Hmm.
Well, the general term preserved in uh, Pahlavi and Iran Shah.
Yes,
I mean,
which
it
goes back to
means
yeah,
the domain.
the domain, dominion. Yeah, yes, yes. Uh, so, so to those did Mazda Ahura answer, Patim Raut, from his dominion, he who is united with Wahumana and is the boon associate, the close associate from the root ach, meaning to adhere, to stick to. So the three entities, Mazdahura, Wahumana, and Asha, more fully Asha Wahishta, are each linked to another. There are 2 points that I don't want to forget, that you have this Ibio Mraut occurring in ring composition later on in the text, ring composition to the second line, where the Ibio are the bad guys. To those did Mazda Ahura speak, which is parallel to our phrase here. So the answer to the bad party of Yasna 32.1 is postponed, but occurs in ring composition to this positive address to Ibio here, meaning those good guys, as opposed later on to the bad guys. And I should really, it's easier for me just to look at my Humbach and tell you where that is.
I don't want this is kind of back to the old subject, but while you're doing that, Martin, can anyone think of a thematic present with a lengthened grade of the root?
Well, sure. I mean, you want a lengthened grade thematic present?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how about chromati, right? Chromati to stride, isn't that one of them? Yeah.
That's conceivable, yeah.
Yeah.
You get
There's
crum or crumb, because
crom.
in the participle it's kranta, but that's a different phonetic development.
Yeah. No, well, we're sure there's a chromati with a long.
Let me see if this lamp, does that create a problem?
No, you're fine.
Okay, because this way I can read. It's a little hard for me to see where that is.
Mhm.
Yeah, in line 12, B, Ibio Mazda Mazdor Aka Mraut. But to those does Mazda speak bad things, namely those who, I read this as wash uchti, through that utterance or oath of bliss, Geush Mordendan Jotun, those who make the life of the cow go askew via their utterance or oath of bliss or for the sake of bliss, or wash, uchti from root stem, or was. And that's in ring composition, yes. So there you get the other IBO. So we should remember that there's there is a double, ultimately an address to each of the two parties. as per my interpretation of this text. Okay.
Yeah, back to Saramno.
Yes.
So that's there is also an S eris sarshta with also which has a long A.
There is.
Um, but yeah, as far as kramati goes, there's a kramati with long A, kramema, and that's a sate root, right? So there's a kramish, the eris. So that looks like it's a lengthened grade thematic. Could be an old thematized Narton, which is possible here, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
It's funny. Okay. Well, yeah,
Sorry.
it's just because normally when you think of, Nartons, you think of, okay, well, the prototypical example is, ber, right? Bert. And they
Hmm.
just, the middle, bere, or proto-middle, and that is the basis for the thematic, and therefore the root would be in, E grade rather than in
Right.
F grade.
Yeah.
But, all right, well, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Mhm. Okay. Um, so, and now we come to the C line. Someone want to read the C line? Translated line C.
Sure. I could do that.
Yeah.
So I guess start from 2B. Asha hushacha chvanvata spuntam va armaitim bangfim varmaidi ha na anhat. So a good friend with sunny uh, right order. Uh,
I
we
like
have
to say rightness, but okay, yeah.
rightness. Okay. We have chosen good, holy, almighty. I'm not going to translate that. Uh, let her be ours.
Mm-hmm. And we've chosen your way.
Oh yeah, you are.
Or
Sorry.
we've chosen your uh, holy uh, Almighty. Indeed, let her all be ours. Um, and that's all very interesting from a viewpoint of concept. What this Armati, your Armati versus, our Armati, what's that about? And that requires a discussion of Armati, beginning with the strangeness of the form. I would begin there. Armati. Why not? It scans as Aramati. In Vedic, it's Aramati. I think that this is a young Avestianism. It is curious that there is no Yasht to Aramati, to Aramati. In young Avestan, there is no question that Aramati is an earth goddess. She is the goddess of the earth. That is abundantly clear from the young Avestan evidence. And as such, would there not be a hymn to her? I think there was. Why there isn't one anymore, I don't know. It could have been that the influence of the Gothic Armati made things a little too complicated for there now to be an earth goddess who has a hymn. I don't know. That's a guess. If there was such a hymn in Young Avestan, we have to remember that the Gathas exist in a linguistic matrix of Young Avestan, like our form, or Wasima, whose initial metathesis shows Young Avestan influence. Never mind the fact that you have zm retained when you should have sm as you do in Younger Western. But I mean, the influence, sometimes you do have an influence of Younger Western, sometimes you don't in general. But if we assume that there was a Younger Western influence in this word armati, I think, as Defan suggested, there could have been a contraction of spenta and aramati, so that you get spentarmati, and you have to proceed from there. I'm not sure of the details, but I wrote about this in Pinot and Petit, in my article, Old Western Latin poetry, whatever, where I have a number of examples where you have an octosyllabic full epithet, which changes around according to its grammar. So for Mithra, you need Mithra, Yo Waru Gauyuti, Gauyutish, with a yo filling a syllable, but in the genitive, it's a nice octosyllable. And you have a number of these octosyllabic epithets for divinities, which I think comes out of what I'm now calling, as of yesterday, I'm calling the old Yashtic meter, which is a number of octosyllables, I think 11. So somehow, I think we have an original octosyllabic epithet, as witnessed by our very verse, which would be spenta aramati wahwi, 8 syllables there. And stuff began happening with that, as you have different cases messing up the meter. In detail, I've yet to work that out. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Good. But I think my toy instead of, sorry, armati instead of aremati can be explained through Younger Western. The Yashtic language, as it goes back to an octosyllabic period of composition. Another interesting idea is, well, in Yasna, in the Rig Veda, I have the passage here somewhere. In Rig Veda 7:34-21, you have a similar phrase, Siad Asme Aramatir Vasuyu, may Aramati, who seeks goods or seeks wealth, if you wish, Vasu, be ours. Siad Asme Aramatir. I don't know. Could this phrase, may Aramati be ours, go back to something very ancient, which is seen in the Rig Veda as may Aramati be ours? I don't know. I ask.
So it's 731.
7:34-21.
Okay. So
yeah, it's Siad Asme Aramatir Vasuyuh.
Vasu is a repeated epithet of Aramati too, Aramati. So kind of calls to mind Bangfi.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's a question. Oh. Now, as for the difference between Aramati in the Gathas and Aramati, if you want to call her that, in Young Avesta, she's not an earth goddess in the Gathas. No way. And, well, Sharv thought that, well, Aramati, which means something like proper thought, then is piety, and then is humility, and humility is that which is low, on the ground, as it were, humus. So she becomes the goddess of earth that way. I don't see that. Shava also pointed, I don't have the verse here, but he pointed to a Vedic verse in which it is said that streams run over Aramati. And maybe this indicates a notion like an earth goddess. And it's well known that the commentators, Sayana glosses Aramati as Prithvi, the earth, which is interesting. Now, for Zarathustra, in the instances where he has as part of his theology divinities that are pre-Zarathustrian, there seems to be a process of dematerialization of these entities. And it's very clear, it's crystal clear from the end of Yasna 45, that Aramati is the mati, the thought, which is ara or aram, fitting, proper. And that definition, proper or regular or fitting, notice I sneak in regular, sneak of me, thinking, works for the Gathas. So there you have the etymological meaning of Aramati in Old Avestan. Whether, well, I think he had to distinguish Aramati from its material aspect as an earth goddess. And Sharva may be right about Aramati being an Indo-Iranian earth goddess, but it's curious that the earth goddess would be called Aramati, whose thought is ara, or if you want an adverb, aram, fitting, proper, and so forth. So I think the basic Indo-Iranian idea was the hypostasis of regular fitting processes in the cosmos, as though there were a mind which kept things regular. And one model for that would be the earth and the cycles of growth and so forth. So it's an interesting question. What what this aramati is as against, the Older Western aramati in general, Gothic aramati. I shouldn't say Older Western, I should say Gothic aramati as against Younger Western aramati. If you look at the Yasna Haptanghaiti, which is composed linguistically in the same kind of language that the Gathas are composed in, there is a plurality of aramatis, and I don't think it's earth goddesses. It's a bit of a problem, but I think that you have a somewhat different conceptual world in the Yasna Haptanghaiti, different from the Gathas. So that's interesting. And what is most cogent, I think, to this process is aramati, or aramati, proper thought, is definitely a property of human beings. And somehow it's also a divine property. And I think that the two are reconciled by the acceptance, by, in effect, the equation of the human proper thinking with the proper thinking which forms part of the Ahura theology. So Mazda Ahura, and Wahu Mana and Asha, and Aramati, perhaps even Kshatra, are all, along with others, Ashi and Srausha, are all aspects of divinity. So I don't know, what else could it mean? We accept your proper thinking, may it be ours. You'd think it would be the other way around, but here it seems that the human proper thinking is equated with the divine proper thinking. There may be no problem there. But that's all I have to say on that one. It's, if anyone has any idea of that, Andrew.
I have a couple of questions about Aramati and all that. So one is a formal question and one is a kind of conceptual question about Indo-Iranian culture and also that sort of stuff. So regarding like kind of the Indo-Iranian linguistic side, right? So this is a compound consisting of ara, meaning, I don't know, fitting, and munti.
Ara meaning fitting, yes, or
Yeah,
proper.
yeah, exactly. Fitting. So, H1AR as it
Yeah.
can be reconstructed, that root, right?
H
So,
H2.
well, yeah, that's how it's traditionally reconstructed. But in any case, what I'm wondering about is when Indo-Iranian forms compounds whose first member is thematic, why don't we find like Brugmann's law? Or is that just something that's analogically kind of prohibited, right?
You just never get it.
You
Yeah.
know, you never get it, right? You never get it.
No.
Why don't you get it?
They got rid of it. Yeah. I mean, there were obviously lots of analogical places where you'd have closed syllables, etc. And
Okay.
yeah, I don't think there's,
Yeah,
yeah.
so you're asking why don't you have or
Aramati.
yeah, why don't you have what?
Why don't you have Aramati?
Oh, I see, and that's the
Because
law.
by Brugmann's law.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, it's just kind of but it seems like a very, very effective analogy to closed syllables. To. So
Yeah,
that's
It,
yeah.
it might be a
That's the linguistic
shortened,
question. Sorry.
it might be a shortened form of aram with accusative, compound with an accusative ending, aramati.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean there is Aram, which is like sufficient, right?
right. So that would explain why Brueggemann's law wouldn't
Well,
oppose.
Brugmann's law never shows up in, any thematic compound.
Right.
They could be E-grades if you're
So,
really looking for a phonological explanation, right? I mean,
well, yeah, and that is a curious thing, whether in Indo-Iranian inherited, I guess, the compositional form of thematics as in the E grade. That's
it's
a
possible.
curiosity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that I don't know, it's kind of difficult to ponder that. Um,
Incident, mm.
But to get back
Incidentally,
to the Earth,
yeah, I was going to ask about that too. Sorry.
I suspect, and I can't remember, there's a genealogy somewhere. Uh, who's Ahura Mazda married to?
oh,
Well,
depends
if you
where.
think about
Sometimes
the
spent
high god,
Armati. Sometimes
the,
spent Armati. In the Gathas, Armati is his daughter.
his daughter, that's right. But I wonder, and yeah, so I wonder if somewhere much further back, Ahura Mazda, if he was um, the primal heaven, Dios, he would naturally be paired with the earth.
Well, I mean, I think one important historical concept of Ahura Mazda is a divinity, a reconstructible divinity called merely the Ahura, who uh, forms a Dvandva compound with Mithra in effect at the end of Yasht 10, the Yasht Mithra, just as you have Mitra Varuna, uh, Mitra Varuna, and just as Varuna has wives,
Mhm.
which are the Varunani, Varunanis, so there is the Ahuranis, who are the waters. You find that, I think, in Yasna Haiti.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And just a second. And uh, the trilingual stela from Xanthos, we have Aramaic and what is it, Greek and Lydian. In the Aramaic portion, the nymphs are called Achuranish with Chef, Achuranish. Interesting.
Mhm.
Olga, you were going to ask?
Yeah, it's a brief comment. I think that each will, whether Ahura Mazda has a consort will depend on whether it's a nature deity or abstraction from a natural phenomena, or whether it is a cognitive capacity abstraction or the subjective abstraction of subjective faculty. I mean, I asked you this question already, but that didn't sit well in that context, in the context of that conversation. But I'm wondering if now is a good time to discuss it, because if Ahura Mazda is if he exists in the context of religion, which deifies natural faculties of nature, he is more likely to have a consort than in the situation when he is a deified faculty of human consciousness. And this transition, I mean, it happens in Indian religion, right? When you take Vedic deities, and then Brahman gradually becomes the self, and then the abstraction of consciousness later on in
Okay,
medieval China.
can I try to answer your question? Your question is apt.
Okay.
Not easy to answer, but a good question. Um, I'll just finish what I was saying by saying that if there is a consort, if there are wives to Ahura, uh, they are streams, they are rivers. Um, Now, Ahura is not necessarily Ahura Mazda. Um, you have in later Iranian myth, uh, yes, Ahura Mazda does have as a consort the earth. I'm pretty sure of that, which goes back to a very archaic way of thinking. I don't think a Gothic way of thinking, but old. That is uh, the Yaus and Prithvi, heaven and earth, are a pair, a couple. Uh, as for the Gathas, uh, and there we don't have the Ahura, we have Mazda Ahura. There is a very, I would say, strong anti-naturalistic uh, way of thinking. The difference of the valuation of Aramati is one example of that. But then what does one do with the overt statement that Armati is the daughter of Mazda Ahura? One can say that is metaphorical, but maybe that's begging the question, meaning, uh, does it, you go in a cycle of thinking. I'm one of those who still use uh, the old-fashioned meaning of begging a question, which is not raising a question, but don't get me started. Um, so I don't know. Mazdahur is also the father of good mind and the father of Ashra. And I do think in Yasna 45, this family and nature somehow should be taken seriously in the interpretation of the poem. And I think even there you have, at the end of Yasna 45, the daring, theologically daring statement that the implication, I can read it from the text, but that the righteous human being is an ally, urvata, or uh, or a brother or a father of the Lord of the house. The Lord of the house is Ahura Mazda, so somehow the human being can even father Mazdahood and be a brother of Mazdahood, if that's if you can take that literally and not say is like a brother or like an ally or like a father. Um, and in that Yasna 45, that's also where you have this uh, Mazda being the father of Aramati. Uh, so I don't think this is naturalistic. Uh, it does draw upon ties uh, of family as an image, but I wouldn't take it as a literal statement. Still, it's a question. There is, by the way, I don't know of any statement in the Gathas where Mazda Ahura is said to have a wife. I think that may be significant. Now you can have a son and a daughter. I don't know. It's a good question. I don't have a perfect answer, but
Well, it seems more abstract when you have a divinity that has no consort. So, like for instance, in Islam, how can Allah have a consort? That sort of notion, right? It's much more august for the divinity to be, alone and to emanate, I guess, subsidiary beings.
Of course, before Muhammad, there was a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Muhammad dealt with that, so, and
Friends,
Uzzah.
I'm going to have to sign off. I
Yeah,
have
me
other
too.
obligations. So this has
well,
been wonderful. I hope we can
well, Bill, thanks for
continue.
joining us, and you sign off at, I think, a decent place. Uh, um, Remind me next time to return to the encoding of Yasna 32.1, the encoding of the initials of Mazda Ahura and Asha Wahishta and Wahumana. Uh, I talk about that in my article in the Wiley Blackwell Companion. You have that article. You have the Wiley Blackwell. Yeah, Bill.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So have a look at what I say there. And that's I think is decoded by the second stanza. Anyway, thanks for joining us, Bill. Hope to see you next week. And be well.
What time?
1:30 Pacific time, which is 2:30
Okay.
Durango time.
That's same time. Okay, fine. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So long,
Okay,
everybody.
bye,
Bye.
Bill.
Be well.
You too. So shall we chat for a little, or does anyone want to beg out till next time?
Well, I would just like to ask a brief question about Vadamaidi.
Oh, I think Michael has left us.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, it's fine. Well, he needed to go anyway. I just wanted to ask a quick question about Vadamaidi. Vadamaidi is an aorist injunctive.
Yes.
And but yeah.
Excuse me for interruption. Do you want me to continue
Oh no,
recording,
you don't need no, you don't need to record it. It's fine.
we are stopping here right
Yeah,
I
now?
let's
think
stop.
this is
Yeah,
a
it's
good
fine.
place to
Yeah,
Okay,
stop.
yeah.
okay, and I'll let the two of you then
Yeah, I mean,
talk.
I, I'm satisfied with where we stopped. I mean, we're moving slowly, but the stuff